Some buildings capture our attention the moment we see them, not because of their size or complexity, but because of the powerful character created by the materials they are made from. Throughout architectural history, few materials have left a mark as profound as stone and concrete. Stone is one of humanity's oldest building materials. It comes directly from nature, carries the memory of its landscape, and gives architecture a timeless identity. Concrete, on the other hand, has become a symbol of modern architecture. It allows for greater freedom of form, creates bold architectural expressions, and continues to shape the language of contemporary design. But what happens when these two materials come together? In this video, we'll explore a collection of remarkable villas where the natural warmth of stone meets the raw strength of concrete. We'll discover how these materials do far more than simply enclose a space. They influence atmosphere, shape the experience of light, and define the way we interact with architecture. So, let's begin. One of the most compelling illustrations of stone as architectural narrative is the contemporary stone villa by Dana Oberson Architects, completed in 2021 in Neve Ilan, Israel. This residence sits on a gentle slope overlooking forested hills and sweeping Mediterranean views, positioning itself at the edge of two neighboring towns, a symbolic threshold that the design embraces rather than obscures. Rather than imposing itself on the landscape, the villa is interpreted as a piece of that landscape. The architects looked closely at the rough, unrefined stone that defines the ancient agricultural terraces of the region and chose it as the dominant material for the exterior. By doing so, they didn't just clad the building in stone, they embedded local memory and context into the architecture. These heavy, layered slabs of natural stone extend seamlessly from the outside into interior spaces, visually and materially uniting inside with outside. Between the two robust stone volumes, a light and transparent glass foyer creates a dramatic double-height space. Above this foyer, an internal bridge connects the private spaces, emphasizing continuity while enhancing spatial drama. Exposed concrete ceilings contrast with the texture of stone, while locally sourced black basalt flooring adds another layer of depth and character to the space. In every detail, the contemporary stone villa shows how stone, paired thoughtfully with glass and concrete, can do more than clad a building. It can express identity, context, and coexistence with its landscape. Our next example is Scorpios Bodrum, located on the Aegean coast of Turkey. What stands out at first glance is not the view itself, but the quiet relationship the architecture establishes with its natural surroundings. Local stone surfaces make the building feel like a natural extension of the landscape, while concrete brings clarity and a contemporary character to the spaces. One material feels rooted in the earth, while the other expresses architectural order and geometric precision. One of the most remarkable aspects of the project is the restrained use of materials. The stone walls continue the natural texture that has defined Bodrum's coastal settlements for centuries, while the concrete surfaces reinterpret this traditional atmosphere through a modern architectural lens. As a result, the project becomes neither a replica of the past nor a purely contemporary object, but a balanced bridge between the two. As daylight changes throughout the day, the texture of the stone becomes more pronounced, while soft shadows move across the concrete surfaces. In this way, the architecture is shaped not only by its forms, but also by the interaction between light and material. Our next example is Stone House, located in the coastal city of Nha Trang, Vietnam. Perched on a rocky hillside, this residence demonstrates how stone and concrete can come together to create a powerful architectural identity. On the street-facing side, massive walls built from large granite blocks define the first impression of the house. These heavy and protective surfaces separate the home from the outside world, while also feeling like a natural extension of the surrounding rocky landscape. In contrast to this sense of solidity, The concrete structural system creates generous openings that invite the landscape indoors. Living spaces oriented toward the sea and the sky establish a balanced relationship between the permanence of stone and the liberating qualities of concrete. Built on a rocky hillside in Valle de Bravo, Mexico, Stone House embraces the landscape instead of trying to reshape it. Rather than removing the massive granite boulders already present on the site, the architects designed the house around them, allowing nature to become an essential part of the architecture. The result is a home where concrete, stone, and the surrounding terrain exist in perfect balance. Who wouldn't want to have dinner next to a massive boulder like this? This must be what it truly feels like to be immersed in nature. It's almost impossible to tell whether this rock was waiting here on the hillside for the house to be built, or if it was carefully placed after this architectural masterpiece was completed. From the garden, the boulder turns into a work of art, yet it is actually a natural part of the site, one that seems to carry the entire villa on its own. The texture of the stone also creates a strong harmony with the concrete surfaces, forming a subtle but powerful material dialogue throughout the project. Designed by Grimaldi and Nacht Arquitectos, Stone House is another example where the rocks on the site become an integral part of the architecture itself. In this project, concrete and natural rock formations come together to create a striking composition. Just look at this view. It offers an absolutely stunning and powerful visual experience. Emei House, Cadaval and Sola Morales. This project takes the question, can you build a house out of stone, quite seriously, and turns the answer into something almost theatrical. Here, stone is not just a material, it is essentially the main structure and defining character of the building. At first glance, the massing feels simple and geometric, but as you get closer, the scene changes. Thick stone walls act like a solid spine that holds the building together, while the concrete surfaces translate this raw heaviness into a more controlled and contemporary architectural language. The most interesting part is that, despite its strong and almost fortress-like appearance, the building is constantly breathing through courtyards and voids. Light and space filter between the heavy stone walls, giving the project an unexpected sense of lightness. ZOLAND Emei Resort. This project clearly expresses the idea of architecture quieting down and blending into the landscape. The buildings are arranged like a small village embedded into the mountainside, as if each volume is a natural extension of the terrain itself. The material language is particularly striking. The textured, handcrafted concrete at the entrance gives the project a raw and grounded character, while the use of local stone in both interior and exterior spaces softens this heaviness and creates a direct connection to the natural context. The use of stone is especially powerful. In some areas, it does not simply act as a surface treatment, but behaves almost like the root of the building, anchoring the architecture into the earth. Concrete, on the other hand, frames this natural mass with a more controlled and composed architectural presence. One of the most memorable moments is the courtyard. With a tree placed at its center and water surrounding it, the stone and concrete volumes quietly step back, allowing nature to take the leading role. In the end, the project is less about adding architecture to nature, and more about finding a quiet place for architecture within a landscape that was already complete. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more architectural content.